I never believed in monsters, not the kind that hide under your bed or lurk in the shadows. But that was before I met the onion boy. It started with a smell, a sharp, pungent odor that clung to the air like a bad memory. At first I thought it was just the garbage, but then I saw him.
Hey kid, what are you doing out here?
He was small, maybe 10 years old, with pale skin and eyes that seemed too big for his face. He didn't answer, just stood there, staring at me with those hollow eyes. And then he smiled. A smile that didn't reach his eyes, a smile that made my skin crawl.
You lost or something? Where are your parents?
Still no answer, just that smile. And the smell. God, the smell. It was like rotting onions, but worse. Like something had died and been left to fester. I took a step back, but he took a step forward. His movements were jerky, unnatural, like a puppet on strings.
Look kid, I'm not messing around. You need to go home.
He tilted his head to the side, his neck cracking like dry twigs. And then he spoke. His voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it sent a chill down my spine.
Home is where the heart is.
I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, frozen, as he took another step closer. The smell was overwhelming now, making my eyes water. I could feel my stomach churning, bile rising in my throat.
Stay back, kid, I mean it.
And he didn't stop, just kept coming, that smile never leaving his face. I turned and ran, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see if he was following me. But I could still hear him, that soft, whispering voice.
Home is where the heart is.
I didn't stop running until I reached my apartment. I slammed the door shut and locked it, leaning against it as I tried to catch my breath. My hands were shaking, my shirt soaked with sweat. I told myself it was just some weird kid, nothing to be afraid of. But deep down I knew. That wasn't a kid. That was something else. The next day, I tried to forget about it. I went to work, came home, tried to act like nothing had happened, but the smell was still there. Faint, but unmistakable. Like it had followed me home. I opened all the windows, lit candles, sprayed air freshener, but nothing worked. The smell was everywhere.
This is insane. It's just a smell. Get a grip.
But I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him. That pale face, those hollow eyes, that twisted smile. I tried to shake it off, but it was like he was haunting me. And then, that night I heard it. A soft knock at my door.
Who's there?
No answer, just another knock. I looked through the peephole, but there was no one there. My heart was racing, my hands trembling as I unlocked the door and opened it. The hallway was empty, but the smell was stronger than ever. And then I saw it, a single onion sitting on the floor in front of my door. I picked it up, my stomach churning as I held it in my hand. It was warm, almost like it was alive.
What the hell is this?
I threw it down the hallway, slamming the door shut, but the smell didn't go away. It got worse, like the onion had been a warning, a promise. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on my couch, staring at the door, waiting for something to happen, but nothing did. Not until the next morning. I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing. It was my neighbor, her voice trembling with fear.
You need to come downstairs, now.
I didn't ask questions, I just ran. When I got to her apartment, she was standing in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes wide with terror.
What's going on?
Just look.
She stepped aside, and I saw it. Her living room was covered in onions, dozens of them, scattered across the floor, the furniture, the walls, and in the middle of it all, sitting on the couch, was the onion boy. He looked up at me, that same twisted smile on his face.
Home is where the heart is.
I grabbed my neighbor's arm and pulled her out of the apartment, slamming the door shut behind us. We stood there in the hallway, both of us shaking, neither of us knowing what to do.
We need to call the police.
And tell them what? That a kid with onions is haunting us?
She had a point. What could we say? That a creepy kid was leaving onions everywhere? They'd think we were crazy. But we couldn't just do nothing. The smell was getting worse, spreading through the building. People were starting to notice. And then, the dream started. Every night I would dream of him, the onion boy. He would be standing in my apartment, surrounded by onions, that same smile on his face, and he would whisper the same words, over and over.
Home is where the heart is.
I would wake up in a cold sweat, the smell so strong it felt like I was drowning in it. I tried everything to make it stop. I burned sage, sprinkled salt around my apartment, even went to a priest, but nothing worked. The onion boy was always there, always watching, always smiling. And then, one night, I woke up to the sound of scratching. It was coming from inside my closet. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps. The scratching grew louder, more frantic, and then the closet door slowly creaked open. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I could only watch as the onion boy stepped out of the closet, his pale skin glowing in the moonlight. He was holding something in his hands, something small, something wet. He walked over to my bed and placed it on my chest. I looked down and saw what it was. A heart beating, still alive.
Home is where the heart is.
I screamed then, a sound so loud it felt like it would tear my throat apart. I threw the heart across the room, scrambling out of bed, backing away from him. But he just stood there, smiling, his hollow eyes staring into mine.
You can't run, you can't hide. Home is where the heart is.
I turned and ran out of my apartment, down the stairs, into the street. I didn't stop running until I was miles away, my lungs burning, my legs shaking. I collapsed on the sidewalk, gasping for air, tears streaming down my face. I knew I couldn't go back, not ever. That was a year ago. I've been on the run ever since. But no matter where I go, no matter how far I run, I can still smell it. That sharp, pungent odor. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can still see him, the onion boy, smiling, waiting.
Home is where the heart is.
I don't know what he wants. I don't know why he chose me. But I do know one thing. He's coming for me. And when he finds me, there will be no escape. Home is where the heart is. And my heart belongs to him.